Greetings, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Dreamscapes. Tonight we have a guest, and I'm sorry I forgot to ask you how you wanted me to address you. What name have you chosen to go by?
K-Port or something like that.
Just K-Port? Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. All right, and our friend K-Port is going to share a dream with us. So just for any new viewers or for you, K-Port, my process is I just sit quietly and listen. The first time you go through it, I write down as much of the narrative as I can capture. We go back, we'll go through it again, and then we'll kind of get into a phase 3 where between the two of us, we try and put together what makes sense. So I will start there and just begin at the beginning, the first thing you remember after falling asleep, and go kind of chronologically until the last thing you remember before waking up.
Okay. So, sure, I'll start.
Yeah, anytime.
Okay, so I wake up or fall asleep, whatever, and I'm with my brother and my sister. The weird thing is, they kind of switch, so they're not always the same person. But it's usually one female character, one male character. Yeah, me and these two people. And we're magicians or something. Yeah, at least I remember magicians. And it's there where I live. So, yeah, my neighborhood and stuff. So we just go outside, do a little magician walk. We walk around our neighborhood, and there's not very many people. Like it's almost just us. No neighbors or anything. And my sister, she just sprints forward and is very fast. Me and my brother, we try to catch up. Yeah. So we're next to water. We catch up to her, and to impress my brother and my sister, I try to make a black hole. So I just, with my wizarding powers, I create a black hole. And they're very impressed. They're like, "Wow, cool! You're a cool magician." And then I can't close it anymore. It just keeps growing and growing. And my brother then uses his magician stuff to crash it in the water next to us. And then it disappears. The problem is, though, there's just, like some sort of gas, green gas, that just comes out of the place where the black hole crashed, and it just keeps getting more and more and more and more. Yeah, we all kind of panic, and we walk away from the gas, hoping it will stop, but it doesn't. So we just. There's one thing I have to say about our island. It's where I live. It's an island. I already said no. There's only one way you can get off. There's one street, and the rest is surrounded by water. And we walk towards that street, or what we think that street is. Yeah, we just keep on walking, running away from the gas that's coming behind us. But when we get to the other side of the island, we realize that it's the wrong side, and there is no street. So we can't get off the island. The gas just keeps on coming. Yeah. So we decide, okay, we're going to try going through the gas, going to the street. And yeah, we all just jump into the gas, and it swallows us, and we come out in a new universe. It was kind of a portal or something. There was this really strange thing I remember about this universe. It had different primary colors. I don't know, that sounds very strange. It's just the laws of physics, light was different. So it was, instead of like red, green, and blue, you saw maybe infrared, violet, and stuff. Your eyes just saw different stuff. It didn't actually look different. The dream was still the same, but somehow I remember that. just different laws of physics. But it's still our neighborhood. It's there where we started. It's that same place, but different laws of physics. And now, instead of not a lot of people, there's just nobody there. And then this evil guy shows up. It's like the dictator of this strange world. It doesn't have a lot of people, so I don't know who he really commands or whatever, but yeah, he's the dictator. So he takes away my sister, my brother. They're all gone, but he leaves me there. Then these strange people show up. They take me to their home. They feed me like some, I don't know, whatever it was, dog food or something, canned stuff. I live with them for a while, eating their stupid food. And then wait, I got it. Okay. Yeah, then my dream kind of switches to this dictator. He is in front of a supercomputer, like some very big, strange computer, but this computer isn't just a computer, it has a person in it, so it's kind of like it's simulating a person. And I remember from before, it's kind of like I remember it, but it actually happened afterwards, that the person in this computer is a person that the dictator picked. He picked them out. He had like tons and tons of people, and he just tested them and tried to find the best one for his supercomputer to upload their consciousness. And that's about it. But there's one more thing I remember, and that's I sort of had a dream déjà vu. I think it's this dream. I had the feeling it was like the third dream. I've had like similar dreams. It's not really comes after the dreams before, but I think these dreams that I had before, or that I think I had before, they were like similar, but they were with different people, but still in my neighborhood, and slightly different stories. And it's always me and 3 other people. That's basically what I remember.
Okay, very good. I love that. Well, let's do it then. I am not. I don't mean to keep you up so late. I'm sorry about that. Gonna gather.
No, it's
fine. You're good.
Just school.
Well, that is one of the first things that came to my mind about this. I mean, you've got these young people about your age, perhaps, sitting at desks being tested by this dictator looking to make them make them a part of his machine. What do you think about that immediate connection?
I know what you mean, like kind of like the government wants us to be like machines for them or something. I don't think it was that.
Okay.
I really think it was just more this dictator. I don't think that it had to be young people or something. It was just the people I knew were my age, so that's what I pictured.
Sure.
I don't think it had to be young people.
Yeah, that was just my first impression of like kind of. I don't know. Are you familiar with Pink Floyd, Another Brick in the Wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind. Part of that scene is they take these kids and they put them in the machine and and they're coming out with the mask on and they're marching in unison. And I think that's a very common experience kids have of school. It's so structured and regimented, and we all learn the same thing, and we're all just going to be another brick in the wall, another part of the machine. But if that answered, if you've already considered that, or even if you haven't before, but if I say that and you're like, that doesn't, you should get a sense of meaningfulness. It should feel right.
This dream was a while back, maybe like a few years, and back then I
that's true.
Think strongly about school, so school is more like, okay, it's kind of annoying, but okay.
Sure. That's That's one thing I forgot to ask is when did this dream happen? You said it was a few years back, and
Yeah. Well, this is the first thing in my dream journal here.
okay,
So maybe like a year, 1.5 years, something like that.
okay, yeah, no problem. So it was recent, but still a little while ago. It wasn't yesterday. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the first thing that struck me, was that possible connection to school in general, but that also may have just been some of the visuals that were familiar to you, drawn from your memory, things you could relate it to, but it wasn't really about that. So there's a good chance that's what's going on, unless my suggestion was specifically relevant, which it sounds like it wasn't. It seems from your just I don't know if you can hear my dog out there running around. We have too many pets. It seems from so we talked about your brother and your sister a little bit in terms of spending time with them, and you said, as much as I want, which isn't very much. We kind of do our own thing, but we're close. We're family, and you guys love each other and all that good stuff. But yeah, the idea that you are magicians, that you have powers, that's a very interesting thing. What do you make of that?
I don't know. I really think this dream didn't. I have the feeling this dream didn't actually mean too much in form of like emotional stuff.
Yeah.
I think that was just because I was back then maybe obsessed with magic and stuff. I thought it was interesting, like
Okay.
Harry Potter and stuff. I like that.
This was a time in your life when you were reading Harry Potter and
Yeah.
maybe engaged with other fantasies of having magical powers.
Yeah, I think so.
He's gonna.
But it wasn't.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, the strange thing was though it wasn't like wizard hats or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it was that. Maybe just I don't know exactly how I want to describe it, but just I wished that humans in general could do more. Maybe
Sure.
that's maybe what I thought back then.
Well, you did have the specific experience that you felt like your brother and sister were more powerful magicians than you were, that they or had more skill or ability.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that you were going to impress them, or how did you put it? The idea that you wanted to feel more like you were their equal, by demonstrating your abilities. One, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but a way I would, what that makes me think is a desire to be respected. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense, but I don't know. Usually we all just do our separate things.
Sure.
And nobody really cares about what the other person does. So
Yeah.
maybe it wasn't less being respected or something like that, and more just showing them that what I do is interesting too.
Sure. Have you made attempts in real life to get them interested in what you're passionate about, your hobbies? Have you tried to reach out to them and say, "Hey, come do this thing with me"?
Oh yeah, sometimes.
And around the time this dream happened, do you feel like that was were you struggling to connect with them, or were you wanting more connection, more of their time, more of their interest in your hobbies?
I don't really remember.
That's
That's
fine. It's kind of hard when it's that far away. I mean, if it happened last night, we could talk about what's going on in your life right now. But those are typical connections. I mean, usually if you're going to have family or other people around you in a dream that you love and care about, and you're going to show them an ability, and the idea is that you want to demonstrate that you are equal to them, it generally would suggest you hold them in high regard. You think their opinion matters. You feel that they have skill or ability, and you want to show, so do I do too. Look what I can do. Let me show you how I am your equal. And that's, as I was saying, that's kind of a mutual respect thing. It's like, and you mentioned it too, in terms of you wanted to show them that your hobbies were also interesting and deserving of attention. The idea that you wouldn't want them to look down on you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that would be my impression of just that magician portion of the dream, is why that kind of happened. I mean, I don't know. It all depends on whether you go, yeah, that kind of makes sense, or not. I don't know what you think about it.
Well, I don't know the science behind dreams that well, and I don't know if they actually mean anything or something.
They might not. Yeah, who knows? No. This is definitely all about.
I don't know. It could mean that, but if it means that, then it's probably more in my subconscious, because I don't remember really thinking about that back then. But could be.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. And usually, the way you know that we're onto something, the way you know an interpretation makes sense, you feel it. You kind of feel it in your chest in a way. There's this oh yeah, that makes sense. You get kind of a I don't know if the English word epiphany comes to mind, or the eureka moment, that discovery, the light bulb turns on. If you get that feeling, you know you're onto something. If you don't, we might still have something, but probably keep looking for the light switch. And it was also very interesting that and this may relate to how you felt about yourself at the time, the idea that you did have the power to generate a black hole. You had it. You showed them, but it got out of control. Like, wait a minute. That might suggest some feelings of self-doubt in your own abilities at the time. And the idea that you would look to your older brother to save you from your own mistakes, or to fix a problem. Is he kind of someone that you look up to? You look at him as someone capable and experienced and able to take care of things?
Yeah, maybe back then.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, that's what that would suggest to me. And then also the idea that your sister could run very fast. That just comes. It seems like straight out of real life. She's very hyperactive and likes to run and move around. So that was not surprising at all.
Yeah, that made sense.
Yeah, and then the idea of your brother fixed the problem. You kind of created a problem, maybe stretched yourself to beyond what you were actually capable of doing well. Your brother fixed it, but that wasn't the end of it. There was another consequence. There was this gas that started to appear, and then all three of you were like, we got to get out of here. Not sure what to make of that, but this guy is just going to walk over my paperwork every time. Oh no, keep walking. Okay. If I put him outside, he goes over the fence. We're trying to keep him in. Yeah, the gas, it seems important. I mean, the idea that it's green, that it's thick, that it's spreading. I mean, it definitely represents a threat, but also a mysterious threat, in the idea that you don't know what's going to happen if you let it touch you. You just get the idea that it's bad. So there's this kind of unknown, clouded, in a way, mysterious threat that is chasing you, or at least you have to stay ahead of it. You have to move away from it, or it's going to affect you. Can you remember anything from around that time that you were dealing with, a problem maybe you were trying to get away from, or a problem you were trying to deal with through distance? I don't know if that makes sense.
Not exactly. I mean, there were a few things, but yeah, nothing like really big. But Yeah, maybe.
I mean, looking back on it, it may not seem too big, but just that idea of a problem that was expanding, that at some point would spread too far to run away from unless you actually left the island. Like it would encompass your entire life unless you left the way you were living, but then you found out you couldn't get out of it. That you had no way out but through. So I don't know if that makes sense in terms of something you maybe tried to avoid, but eventually you had to just confront it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That does. Is that something maybe a little too personal? You don't want to describe what it was, but
No, I'm fine about talking about stuff like that, but I'm really not sure about any of this. So
me either. Yeah, I mean that's when you take the idea of the spreading green gas problem that was going to encompass your life, that you couldn't escape from, that you had to just turn around and face, and then the idea that took you into another world, that it actually changed your life, so to speak, and put you in this other place where there was this dictator running things. Can you think of a problem or difficulty you faced at that time that might relate to those images?
I don't know. Maybe I was just scared of being controlled by another person. Maybe that's why because that's why this dictator exists. But
Yeah. I mean, the idea that you would dream of a dictator that you had to hide from with the family, and that was manipulating children or other people, and not only that, but putting them inside a machine for the purpose of accomplishing his goals, and that act of putting them in the machine made them his ally. Is what did you face any situations in your life at that time that kind of, once you came out the other side of it, your life was kind of different, or the way you looked at the world was different?
can you repeat?
Yeah. It's kind of difficult going back, a year or two, but can you think of any difficulties or situations you faced at that time where going through the act of confronting an experience that you couldn't run away from left you seeing the world in a different way, or experiencing the world as a different place? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Is it okay to kind of describe a little bit about what that was, or would you prefer not to?
I can't think of anything directly, but of course, back then I probably learned some stuff that was maybe surprising, maybe scary. I don't know.
Just in
Probably
general.
not anymore. That's why I don't remember it. But
Nothing specific comes to mind.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I'm getting from this in general, is this idea of you being someone who wants to connect with their family more, specifically your brother and sister, in a way that shows your skill, ability, talent is equal to theirs. A little bit of self-doubt of that you do have these abilities, but can you control them very well? Do you need help sometimes? I think we all do. It's just that kind of idea of self-doubt. And then the idea that you look up to your brother and he is able to help you manage your difficulties, but that still there's consequences. He can't dismiss the cloud. He can only run away with you. But then you all kind of realize you have to confront it, whatever it is, this green gas that's expanding, and it's going to expand over your entire island. And there's basically your escape is cut off. The bridge is not there. You thought you had a way out. You looked for it. It wasn't there. And so you decide you have to confront it. But in confronting it, you move. It like changes the way you literally see the world. You're like, the laws of physics are different. I can see things I wouldn't normally be able to see. But it's not just the idea of seeing your regular world in a new way. Excuse me. It's the idea that seeing things in this new way means you are in a different world. That's how you know your experience of of the world around you has changed. And in this new world, there's less people. Not sure what to make of that. Maybe the idea...
Well,
Go ahead.
I can think of one thing
Yeah.
that could have been that. Maybe it was just me discovering that adults don't control the world, or like perfect people or something. Found out that they don't have no clue what the fuck they're doing. So
you realize...
I think that could be...
Sure. It's kind of the realization, oh my God, my parents are only human.
Yeah.
That's a very powerful thing, that actually, because when we're a child, our parents are godlike. They are everything. They are the source of all. They are our personal representations of the supernatural. Of they can do things we can't imagine, and they come and they go as they please, and they have all this power, and they're bigger than me, and where do they get this money? And then you realize, oh yeah, they're just people too. They make mistakes. They're not always right. They're doing their best. They care. Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me about how this dream played out. Having that realization is like, now then your parents go from benevolent gods to kind of dictators in a way. It's like, I have to obey them. I'm my own person. I have my own thoughts. I'm not just part of a machine. I'm not just going to become what you want me to be necessarily. I don't know. Something feels off about that. But you didn't just say parents. You said like adults in general in the world.
Yeah.
Can you say a little bit more about that? How that might relate to the testing and the machine and the ally and the evil laugh of the dictator?
I think this with machines was just me getting interested in computers and stuff.
Okay.
I don't know. That's like, that's the stuff I like to do is on computers. So I think the computer part is just that.
It may
computers,
be. Yeah, that may be where the imagery comes from. That's why, because you could have expressed the same concept in a different way, but that's what you were into at the time. So that's the imagery that formed in your mind. Yeah, what is that exactly? I mean, you're looking at this the dictator standing in front of the machine, and the machine is his ally, but you didn't realize it was an independent person that was actually destroyed by being uploaded into this. They've transformed as well. They're not the same person. That same person they were doesn't exist. Now they are something else. And that something else in that process is, because of that process of being transformed, became an ally to the dictator. I don't know if that relates to you or your feelings about someone else, or your feelings about some specific concept of the world. Does that make sense?
I don't know.
Were you afraid of, at the time, afraid of being swallowed up by something that would make you into something else, that would change you?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know if that's yeah, I'm not sure what to. My first thought would be you were having a difficulty with a friend, or some other relative, or some other person you knew in your life that you realized. Again, this is purely speculation, but that you realized they had changed, that they had gone through some transformation. They were no longer the person they were, or you realized they never were the person you thought they were, and that somehow put them in alliance with evil, with something bad in the world. I don't know, some personal betrayal.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I mean, maybe it was a metaphor for my parents again, but maybe I saw them as more evil too, or as changing, even though they actually weren't, and just realized that they were more human too.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe that.
And maybe that relates back to the family that brought you into their shelter in this empty world. that may actually represent your family, or the feelings about them, that even though now you see the world in a different way and there's a lot of emptiness, there's all these nice things that other people have, but my family, represented by these kind folks that took you in, what we have is very modest. We're surviving. They share what they have. So this idea that you're seeing two things at once. You've got the idea that your parents are only human, and that still they are the kind of people who they take care of you. They don't have much to share, but it's yours. They give you what they can. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but there is one difference.
Sure.
My parents can actually cook.
Fair enough. It may not be a one-to-one correlation. Yeah. Why maybe the dog food in the dream was just a representation that it was consistent with the idea they were living modest lives. Their clothes weren't new. Their food wasn't good. Their house wasn't big and beautiful. It was a shack attached to another house. But the idea they were still.
I don't think they wanted to live like that, though.
Yeah. No. They not that they did that on purpose, but they were giving the best they could. Does that make sense? Whatever they had, they were being generous with it, and they didn't have much, but they were going to be generous with it.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it all depends on whether this makes sense to you. Are there any elements of the dream we didn't talk about that you think are important?
Yeah, I wanted to go back to this. You talked a lot about how my brother might relate to this.
Yeah.
But I actually wrote down in my notebook that they were changing a lot. So it wasn't always my brother. It was constantly changing. The one that was more consistent was actually my sister.
Okay, so sometimes your brother was not your brother. He was someone else?
Yeah, he was always like the male person. Always. Okay. Yeah, but sometimes he was a little older. Sometimes he was just a stranger. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I now that you mention that, I remember you saying something about it, but I didn't know if that referred to alternative, different dreams you were having. I think I confused that for something else. So that might be important too. What were the key moments you noticed he was someone else? Like let's say the first time he was your brother in the beginning.
It wasn't like he was different. It was like, okay, this is actually my brother, but he is changing. That wasn't it. It was really just a completely different person. It wasn't
someone else
my brother, and I didn't feel like, okay, where did my brother go? It was more just like, okay, a new person. Cool.
Okay. So if you started the dream in front of your house and your sister ran ahead and you're at the lake shore and then the black hole incident happens, at what point do you first notice that, hey, that's not my brother anymore, now it's someone else?
I don't exactly remember when he becomes a different person. It was just kind of blurry, and I don't remember that, but I remember that he definitely I think he was actually less of the time he was actually my brother. Most of the time he was a different person.
That might be significant all by itself, yeah.
It was only my brother at the beginning. The rest of the time I think he was completely different.
Interesting. So was he still your brother during the smushing the black hole episode?
I don't exactly remember, but I don't think so.
All right. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of that. I mean, we could relate it to your brother in real life and say, do your feelings about him change? Does one day it feels like he's a completely different person that you don't know? Is his behavior a little erratic, or does his personality change sometimes?
I didn't really get that feeling in the dream. It wasn't like this person is my brother. It was always like, okay, I had some male person, whoever that is, around me. It wasn't like I thought that was my brother or anything. It was just, okay, this person, and sometimes he happened to be my brother.
Okay, interesting. I mean, if it's a more generic male person, who is with you, that may be less about your brother and more about your ideas and concepts of masculinity in and of itself, or what it means to be a man, or your concept of being a man. I don't. Does that ring any bells or resonate with you at all?
I don't know.
Yeah. Again, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but if it's not a specific identifiable person. It's more of a representative of a class of persons, which would be male, female, doctor, ditch digger. Sometimes these classes of people represent something. Maybe it's kind of the first thing that comes to my mind, it could be related to your own thoughts about becoming a man in the future. Like, you're male, but as you grow older, you adopt that be a man type of persona, and you have to decide, well, what does that look like for me? How do I do that? How do I be a man? What does that mean? That's just the first.
No, I don't think it was about that. It was significant that this person was male. I just think this person didn't actually represent a person. It was more like, okay, these actions, they come from somewhere, maybe from somebody. So whenever he did something, that doesn't mean that anybody actually did that, but my brain just needed a way to somehow get these actions in there.
Sure.
But who does them? I think that's why the person was changing. Each action was not done by a person, but just happened somehow.
Okay.
I don't know how, but maybe changed.
Fair enough. And I might have been reaching on that thing. That's just something that came to mind. So yeah, definitely. If I lay something out there and you're like, that's not it. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. I'm very often completely wrong because I'm not inside your head, so I can't tell whether something's on the right track or not unless I ask. So sometimes it's not. And that's a very good point to say. Sometimes there are elements in the dream where it's not that it's there for no reason, but the reason may be as simple as I needed someone there to do that action, and it could have been anybody. In some cases it was my brother, in some cases it wasn't. My thought would be that it's related to something, but it may not be anything mind-blowing or that important. What I would do if I were you is I would think about that a little bit more, is why did this person keep changing? Why was it one person and then the next person and then the next person? That's got to be related to something. But you've probably been thinking about, you've got a dream journal. You think about these things all the time, I'd imagine. But I'd imagine.
I just wake up completely tired and just write down stuff. Okay. I just remember the dream when I read it the first time. That's when everything came back. I didn't have time to think about it because I didn't actually remember it.
Yeah, and I mean that's the way to do it. Anyone listening to the video here, if you're going to keep a dream journal, keep it by your bedside, and the second you wake up, start writing, because it's going to fade. I can't even hang on to them that long. I think I have remembered 3 or 4 dreams in my entire life, and I'm pretty sure I dreamt last night and the night before. No idea what I dreamt of. I can't hang on to them. So.
Yeah, I don't always write them down either. Sometimes I just don't have the motivation to turn on the light and start writing. But
sure.
Especially if you have lucid dreams, then you want to write them down.
Maybe so. Yeah. What are your thoughts on lucid dreams? Why would those be most important to write down?
Well, for me, lucid dreams aren't actually as exciting as people make them out to be, sadly.
Yeah.
I had one once. Maybe they're different, but one time it was just like the only thing that changed was I knew that I was in a dream, but I didn't actually feel like I had any control. So
interesting.
It was more like, okay, I'm in a dream, and then I remembered, okay, if I'm in a dream, I want to try flying. But then I didn't actually make the decision after that to do anything else. It's just what you remember and you do it, and then you don't actually have the control to change your dream, though.
Yeah. No, I think I can't remember a specific lucid dream, but I kind of have a vague impression that I do remember being aware that I was dreaming in a dream at least once. And yeah, it wasn't anything special. And then that's just for me. It's like I don't remember my dreams. I don't really have lucid dreams. I've never had prophecy dreams that some people tell me they have. I don't have a lot of experience of these things, so I don't know what to make of them. I don't know how to. I certainly don't have any advice for anyone about them. I definitely have to talk to someone else about that.
Well, anybody who's listening, if you want to lucid dream, what you want to do the most is reality checks. So you want to multiple times a day just close your nose with your fingers and then just try to breathe. And if you can still breathe, then that means you're in a dream, because you're actually breathing your real nose and just pinching your dream one. So that's the best one for me.
I've never heard that before. That's fantastic advice. Yeah, maybe I'll do that occasionally, because how do you know, right?
Well, as soon as you realize that you're in a dream, you're like, oh, of course. So didn't I realize I'm flying? And I just randomly teleport. How? Of course, this is a dream.
Yeah, I've only had a couple of those type of flying dreams, in my entire life, and one of them was very unimpressive. It was like very slowly up and slowly down in kind of an arc. And then it was over. Yeah. It's nothing. I wasn't Superman through the clouds. I'd love that. Actually, I wish I could make myself dream of that kind of thing before. Well, what do you think of the experience here? I don't need to keep you forever. Were there more things on your mind?
It's 7 o'clock here. I probably have to go to bed soon. Yeah. But really interesting. I personally think that dreams don't really mean too much. I think they're just random stuff in your brain, but they're interesting to share nonetheless. So
sure, yeah, and that would be my. I'm a little.
Maybe the viewers think it's interesting.
Say again. Sorry, I missed the first part.
Yeah, maybe the viewers will think it's interesting. But,
I definitely think so. At the very least, we are hearing your personal description of your dream. Sometimes I imagine people don't watch the whole hour and a half, 2 hours. They just like to hear the beginning about people's dreams, and that's fine. They want to watch 5 minutes of the video and turn it off. I can't blame them. It's that's fine too. But I'm of a split mind on that too. It's like, yes, I think dreams can mean something, but do they always mean something? And what do they mean? That's a whole different story. Sometimes it's just random stuff, but it tends to be random stuff that's related to what we're experiencing. And
it's just your brain trying to. I think it's your brain trying to, or at least I heard that it's your brain trying to sort the information that you took up, that you learned, the stuff you learned from the day before, and the stuff that's just on your mind right now. Doesn't have to actually mean anything, but it's probably something that's important to you.
At the very least, related to something. There's a reason that imagery appeared there, and not everyone gets the experience of, life-changing. Oh, I know what I need to do. I know now how I feel about something. I love it when that happens, and when it does, that's extremely useful. But that's not everybody, and that's not every dream. So sometimes we just go on the journey and we see what happens.
Did you ever have it happen on one of your things here? I didn't see all of them yet.
Yeah, I've had a couple of guests who are like, they really felt like they learned something important, and God, I love that feeling. I love it when the pieces fall together and they get that light switch turned on. That's why I do this. I look for those experiences, and I just like hearing people's dreams and talking to people and that kind of thing. So, well, speaking of talking to people, I want to thank you for being here, and we'll get you out of here so you can go to bed. So I'll just say to everyone watching, that's it for another episode of Dreamscapes. And once again, if you like what I do, please like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Good night.